Guys, I want to tell you about Mando. It's the whole body deodorant you can use anywhere. Mando was created by a doctor who saw how regular BO was getting misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven, Mando will keep you fresher longer than soap alone. Check this out. Mando Solid Stick is powered by mandelic acid, crushing odor before it even starts. They've got an aluminum-free spray as well for those hard-to-reach spots. And forget about parabens and baking soda. Mando is free of all that junk. You can choose from fresh scents like bourbon leather, cloverwood, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. Me, I'm a bourbon leather guy. I gotta tell you, it's bold and strong, just how I like it. If you're new to Mando, let me suggest, try the starter pack. You get a solid stick. It comes with a cream tube and 2 free products of your choice. Plus, when you use my code, you will get free shipping. When you check out, just use the code CHAEL. That'll get you $5 off, which is over 40% off, plus the free shipping I mentioned. So hit up shopmando, shopmando.com. Use code CHAEL and use Mando head to toe. Guys, Mando's got you covered, and frankly, so's Uncle Chael. Do you want it? Or are you willing to do it? And that's a question that we all get faced with constantly, every day. And in the world of promotion, which one's more powerful? Have you ever thought about it from this perspective? By example, Dave Feldman is getting ready to announce a tournament he's going to hold, $25 million to the winner. Now, we don't know the stakes of the tournament. We imagine that is not a one-night event, and we probably even imagine it's an 8-man bracket, but there's no reason for us to expect either. Could be a 50-man bracket. I'm sharing with you, do you want it or are you willing to do it? Like if there's a giant prize out there, and therefore you'll get up and you will try, that is very different than do you want it. I hold NCAA champions to a very high regard. I hold Olympic champions to a very high regard because I believe them. I trust them that they truly have sacrificed and dedicated towards one goal. And one of the reasons that they have my trust in that is they don't have any idea what the path is going to look like to get there. I'm hearing a number of boxers today, right? Like boxers had no balls for years, and all of a sudden today they've all found their balls and they want to fight Jake Paul. Jake was looking for opponents. Jake was calling for opponents. Jake was so starved for said opponent. He fought guys from different sports. He fought guys from the world of entertainment. He said names as high as Conor McGregor. He said names as high as Canelo Alvarez. To try to get to those points, he went through world champions. He went to the world's most terrifying man, whether he's 58 years old or not. You don't know another athlete that is scarier than Mike Tyson. And so I believe Jake. I believe that he wants it. What I don't believe is these people who are calling him out. I question their sincerity. I question, do you want it or are you willing to do it? There's a huge difference. The entire thing of I want it, put me in. Okay, great, we're going with you. Well, let's sit down. Let me get my manager in the room. Let's talk about this. You kind of back up and go, man, I didn't want you in the first place. You came out here and lobbied and campaigned and begged for an opportunity. I trusted you. I trusted what you told the audience. I trusted what you told your fans. I trusted when you went on SportsCenter and said, this is all I think about. And now I'm calling you without SportsCenter, and I'm finding out none of it was true. It was a cash grab. Now, many things in life are. But there's many things in life that I can pay attention to, and I can choose what I want to do with my own time. And so I'm asking, do you want it, or are you willing to do it? Because there is a massive difference. How would we know? I mean, all of these boxers that have all of a sudden found their balls should be ashamed of themselves. Nobody should be calling out Jake Paul today that wasn't willing to fight him prior to record numbers coming in. There's nobody that should be willing to fight him today that dismissed him or turned down his call out for the last multiple years. But all of a sudden you found some courage. And I don't know that you have. As a matter of fact, you didn't want to fight Jake back then when you didn't know if he was any good. Now you know he's really good. So why would you want to fight him? I mean, that on his face doesn't make sense. You did not want to fight the guy a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago when he called you out and he was searching for opponents. You don't want to fight him then. Maybe he was terrible. Maybe he sucked. We didn't know. And you still didn't have the courage to fight him. Now all of a sudden you find out he's pretty good, but now you want to call him out. So if we can cut to the chase, it's a cash grab. So how do we solve that problem? Like, what opponent out there are you going to find for Jake that doesn't fall into the category of cash grab? Like, once you establish that you got all these boxers with no balls and the only thing they have less of than courage is money in the bank, you realize you can get them to go do it. But the audience would like something at stake. Now, there's many reasons that the Mike Tyson fight did so well. And they don't have anything to do with pugilism. They don't have anything to do with the size of the glove or the amount of rounds or what state and jurisdiction you oversaw this. There was a number of one-offs that you simply can't reinvent. And as much as you would love to tell the story that Jake Paul was paid double and Jake Paul was the A side, Jake Paul would be the first one to tell you that fight doesn't work without Mike, and that fight is not as heavily watched as it was without Netflix. You do have the smartest guy in the room that understands what time it is, and in no scenario is paid double Mike Tyson. Mike brought the eyeballs. It's not like this is a guess. They fought on a card before together. The Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson fight, just for example, did a 1.7. That was crazy numbers at the time. Jake was on that card. It's not like maybe is this guy the A side. It's for sure, but all of a sudden you've got all of these boxers that have finally found their courage. I guess they walked the yellow brick road and they finally met the wizard and they got some courage. So how would we know? How would we know who really wants it as opposed to who's willing to do it? Well, let me offer you a suggestion. A tournament. Winner gets Jake Paul. See, that is more captivating for me, and to each his own. But I do have a belief system in telling you that when you do a tournament, when you do an event that leads to an opportunity as opposed to a payout, that you get the audience's attention more. It'd be very difficult for me to quantify and to prove that, but I will share with you the Ultimate Fighter, which is possibly the toughest tournament in all of sport. And the Ultimate Fighter made a promise way back on day one, and they say that it changed the industry. It say that it took 3 little letters of UFC from $40 million in debt to a thriving enterprise. That's the way the story is told. And they put up a prize of the Ultimate Fighter of $100,000. And that was supposed to be a really big deal. That was supposed to get headlines. But I submit for you, I don't believe that is what attracted the audience. I believe you, the audience, was more compelled by the fact that the winner of said $100,000 would be in the UFC. I think that's what was more interesting. I think that it was more, and right, $100,000. It's that old joke with Dr. Evil, $100,000. But it worked because there was an opportunity. I did a television series called The Apprentice, and on the season that I did, which proved to be the final season, we, from a rating standpoint, were greatly up against it. Because all we're going to be compared to is other seasons of The Apprentice. But what the other seasons had, it wasn't a cash payout. It was actually an opportunity that was going to be given to the winner. They were actually going to go to work for a company, in theory, be mentored by. That's what really was at stake. And when they change that to a cash prize, it changes with you, the audience. I think you prefer, as an incentive, an opportunity. I think if you're going to go along the journey with somebody, which nothing goes straight up, I think if you're going to stay on the bandwagon when you hit the speed bumps, I think an opportunity is more compelling to you. And while we could just choose somebody, let's just pick somebody. Let's pick the most famous name that we got. Let's take the traveling circus and let's set up the tent that it has no reason, no sustainability, nowhere you go from here. Like, as great as the numbers for Mike did, it only did those numbers because it's Mike. By example, had Mike beaten Jake, it doesn't lead him anywhere. That leads him into retirement, which is where he started, right? You're going in circles. You're chasing your tail. It doesn't work. What if we had a tournament? Carl Froch says that he wants to fight Jake Paul. That's what he says. I got no heat with Carl Froch, but I will share with you I don't believe him. There's some other guy whose name that I can't pronounce. It always makes me think of Benavidez in honor of the great Joseph Benavidez, but his name's not Benavidez, but it's something like that. He says he wants to fight Jake Paul. I don't believe him. There was a number of other people who have come out. I'm even gonna look at one of them in my head. He beat Roy Jones back in the day. Antonio Tarver Sr. has come out. Says that he wants to fight Jake. I don't believe him. There's a massive difference in life of do you want it or would you do it? Massively. And I'm attracted to the people that want to do it. Jake Paul has shown his sincerity. Jake Paul has not backed out of a fight because of a negotiation or there wasn't enough commas and or zeros. There was something that he wanted and he was willing to go out and get it the hard way. And I suggest for you a tournament. There's some pretty big names. Carl Froch and Antonio and this guy named Benavidez, even though that's not his name, and a few other people that have all of a sudden jumped out of the hat. Ryan Garcia has jumped out and he's gonna fight Paul. I'm good with the whole thing if you really want it. And if you really want it, I suggest that MVP get these names together that claim they want it. Let's do a tournament. And whoever wins, we don't advertise a big cash prize and get that big ridiculous check in there and put a belt diamond encrusted that we made up. We give them an actual incentive. We give them an actual reward. And that reward is an opportunity. And that opportunity is to do nothing more than what they've come out and they're claiming, now that they've found their balls and finally met with the wizard, they're claiming it's what they want. All I'm asking is that you 8 guys get in a bracket and prove it.